Thank you for tuning into our channel. My name is Omar. I will be your facilitator for today and I will help you to install OpenStack on your computer. So, without wasting much of your time, let's get started. Before we begin, let us first understand what is OpenStack. In a nutshell, OpenStack is a open source cloud operating system. Yes, it's an operating system which will help you to design your own cloud. So let's go through this definition real quick. OpenStack is an open source cloud operating system that controls large pools of resources like storage, compute, and network throughout the data center. All the resources are managed through a dashboard which is controlled by an administrator while empowering the user to provision resources through a web interface. So, in other words, OpenStack, as I said you, it's an open source cloud operating system. It is an operating system like your Windows, but it is different. It is used to design your own cloud. You can have a cloud like AWS, Google, Azure. You can build cloud similar to those clouds which I have mentioned earlier using this OpenStack. If you can see over here on my screen, the cursor, this is the dashboard. This is the OpenStack dashboard. From here, you can log into your OpenStack, and the administrator will log into OpenStack using this dashboard, and will help the user to use the resources through this web interface. So it's a web interface. You can use this using any of the browsers available on your computer, like Google, Mozilla, Safari, or any browser which is available on your computer. Okay, this is the conceptual architecture of OpenStack, and these are all the services which you find in OpenStack. So let's go through the services one by one. Keystone. This service is mainly used for the authentication purpose, like to authenticate the user. Ceilometer, as the name suggests, as we know, it's a device which is used to measure the thickness of the cloud. In the same way, this ceilometer over here in OpenStack it's used to measure the resources used by the users and build them accordingly. Horizon, it's mostly used for graphical user interface, as you have seen in the previous slide. I have shown you the dashboard. That is Horizon. Glance, this is the another service for OpenStack. It is mostly used for storing the images. You can store the image of your database, you can store the image of your virtual machine, and also you can store any of your personal images. Everything will be taken care by this service. Neutron, this service is used for networking purpose, your connectivity and internet. Ironic, it's mostly used for the bare metal service. Um it's just a hardware. You can install any operating system on it and use this hardware resources. Nova is mostly used for compute purpose. Compute like your database, if you want to access your database, or if you want to access your server, or if you want to access anything, any compute, it will be taken care by Nova. Trove. It is mostly used for database as a service. It's similar to Nova, but it's mostly used for database purpose. Like if the user wants to access many instances of a database, they can do it using Trove. It will automate that purpose, and which will give the scalability to the database. And Cinder and Swift is mostly used for storage purpose. Cinder is used for block storage, and Swift is used for the object storage. You can comment me below in the comment section if you want me to create a new video uh, on this topic, block storage and object storage. I will create a separate video on that, and I'll let you know in details the differences between the block storage and the object storage. And Sahara, this service is mostly used for big data. And heat, it is mostly used for the orchestration, like you might have seen in a concert or in a TV. There's a person who controls a musician to play the instrument to produce a melody. In the same way, uh, heat maintains a cue, and it maintains a harmony in all the processes in all these services. So that is the function of this service heat in OpenStack. So this is the logical architecture for OpenStack. It's must if you want to design or deploy or configure the OpenStack. An administrator should know this architecture, as I have shown you in the previous slide. Conceptual architecture. These are all the services which are. It is the most common architecture of the cloud. It has almost all the services which you may find in the cloud. I will not go in details, in depth of all the services. If you want me to make a separate video on this, you can comment me below. I will make a separate video and I will tell you in details about all the services and how it communicate and all. So let's get started with the installation real quick. Okay, so we'll be installing OpenStack, and we'll be installing. So in order to install OpenStack, you can use any of the below distribution. You can use OpenSUSE or SUSE Linux Enterprise Server, or you can use Red Hat Enterprise Linux or CentOS. We will be using CentOS 8 to install Victoria, Packstack Victoria, or you can use Ubuntu. So these are the three Linux distribution. You don't have OpenStack for the Windows distribution. You can use any of the Linux distribution to install OpenStack. But as I told you just now, we'll be using CentOS Linux distribution to install OpenStack. All right, so I will be using CentOS 8. So we'll be using Sori, that is the OpenStack utility. This is the latest utility for CentOS 8 and Red Hat 8. And if you're using CentOS 7 or Red Hat 7, you can go for OpenStack Train. That is a separate utility. Okay, before we begin the installation, you should understand the prerequisite for this installation. You should have as I told you, you can have OpenStack only on the Red Hat distribution, and I'm using CentOS 8. So if you're using the Red Hat distribution, either you can, if you're going for a Red Hat, it should be Red Hat 7. It is the minimum recommendation, or the equivalent version like CentOS 7. And you have to make sure that the host or name or a domain name, it should be a qualified domain name. It should not be a short name to avoid any DNS issue with the packstack. So we'll be using a packstack utility to install OpenStack. And the hardware, you should have at least 16 GB RAM. So you should have at least 16 GB RAM available, and processors with the hardware virtual extension and at least one network adapter. That should be your hardware requirement. And network, if you are planning to have external network access to the server and instances, so you should properly configure your network settings, like a static IP address to your network card, and you should disable your network manager. And one more thing, on Red Hat 8 and CentOS 8, network scripts is deprecated, and it's not installed by default. So you have to install uh, that explicitly on your operating system. So let's get started with the installation. So I have my VMware here. You can use VMware or the virtual Oracle or VirtualBox Oracle. I'm using VMware Pro here, but you can use VirtualBox as well. So I have CentOS installed already on my computer. So let's get started with the installation. First, you have to log in as a root. So I've already logged in as a root, as you can see over here. And let's begin the installation. So before we begin the OpenStack installation, we have to disable the firewall. So first we have to install, as I'm using the CentOS 8, and as I've mentioned you in the previous slide that the network script is not installed by default. So I'll be installing that using this command. So I will just copy this command and paste it over here. So as you can see, it is installing the network script. By default, if you're using CentOS 7, you will have network script, but as I'm using CentOS 8, I will not have network script. I have installed that. After I've done with this installation, I will disable my firewall. So this is the command you can use. I'll run this command, which is sudo systemctl disable firewall d. That is the command. First, I'll just clear the screen here and I'll just paste that command over here and I will hit enter, and that has disable, and I will run. Then after I disable, I will stop the firewall. So in order to stop the firewall, this is the command sudo systemctl stop firewall d. That is the command, and hit enter. So it is already stopped. After I have stopped the firewall, I have to stop the network manager as well. As you know, network manager will normally call the DHCP client, which automate the networking. So we don't want that. We will be disabling this by using this command systemctl disable network manager. So I have disabled it, and I will stop the services once I have disabled the network manager. So in order to do that, we will be using the same command sudo systemctl stop network manager. There is a command to stop the network manager. I'm sorry, there's a typo over there. It's stop network manager. Done. So it's stopped now. I will clear the screen again. Now, once I have stopped the network manager, I will enable the network. So in order to enable the network, I'll be using the same command systemctl enable network. So first let me go through. First let me start enable the network. So it's sudo systemctl enable network. It is enabled now, and once it is enabled, I will start network. Great, it's taking a little time. Now it's started. Wonderful. So once the network is installed, once the network is started, we have to configure the OpenStack. So before we install this OpenStack using the packstack utility Victoria, we have to enable the power tools. That is in CentOS 8 only. So we will be enabling the power tools. Let me just copy this and paste it over here. Wonderful. The power tools has been enabled. And once that is enabled, we can use this command to install OpenStack using packstack utility designed by Vedo. So I'll just copy and paste. So this is the command sudo dnf install space -y CentOS -release -OpenStack -Victoria. This is the latest utility for Backstack. As you can see, it is completed. So once that is completed, we will update our repository. So we use this command sudo dnf update space -y. This is the command it is used to update our repository. And before I do that, I'll clear the screen and I'll copy and paste the command and I'll update our repository. It will take some time and it will update the repository. All right, it is downloading now. It's going to take some time. So we will wait for that until it's get downloaded. All right, I'm going to pause the video here. It might take some time. And once it's downloaded, I will resume the video. So be right back. It's completed now. And let me go ahead and clear the screen again. And one more thing, this OpenStack Backstack Victoria utility, it is only used for one node cloud installation. As you know, one node is like a one device which is accessible over the internet. So if you want me to uh, create a new video with multiple nodes, you can comment down below and I will make a separate video for that. So you don't have to do much for that. This will be the same procedure, but you have to make some changes in the configuration file. So we have updated our repository. Once the repository is updated, we have to use this command to install the pack I'm sorry to install the packstack utility. This is the command. So I'll just copy this and paste it, and the command is sudo dnf install OpenStack packstack, and it is downloading now. So great, seems like it's completing. All right, so think it's going to take some time, so I'm going to pause the video again, and once the installation is completed, I'll resume the video. Great, it's completed now, so I'm going to clear the screen again, and we will use this command now. One more thing I would like to tell you here, you can use packstack all in one uh, to install all the services, all the required services, or else you can install one by one services, as we discussed the services in conceptual architecture like a Keystone or a Nova or Traub or other services, Heat. Those services can be installed individually as per the client requirement. But in order to save time, you can use this command sudo space backstack hyphen all in one, which will install all the services. So I'm going to run that command now, and it's going to install all the services, OpenStack services, using this packstack utility, which will work on Puppet. So I'm going to pause the video again. It's going to take some time. So once the installation is done, I'll see over here the installation has been completed, and um, we have to log into our dashboard. So in order to log into the dashboard, we need to have a credentials, and we can find the credentials over here. As you can see, I'm already in the root folder, and once you are in the root folder, you need to open this file, which is keystone rc underscore admin. In this file, you will have the credentials to access your dashboard. So as you can see over here, uh, you will have the credentials. Your username is admin, and this is your password, and this is the path for your dashboard. I have already copied that in my notepad, and I have already opened the dashboard for you over here. Let me just show you real quick. One moment here. All right, as you can see over here, this is the dashboard. So now I've copied the IP address, same as which is there in the folder 192.168.0.11, and forward slash. You have to use the word dashboard to access the OpenStack dashboard, and the username should be your admin, and the password, I've used the same password which you can see over here. And this is the dashboard for OpenStack. So this is all about installation of OpenStack using Backstack utility. If you have any questions, any comments, or any suggestions, you can leave that in the comment box. So thank you all. Thank you for your time, and you guys have a wonderful day ahead.